Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Arnie's Fantasy World of Sports. It's good to be with you again on this Tuesday morning. And if you're on the Lenny Melnick Fantasy Network, welcome to those who may be in the chat room. If you're watching on Facebook, welcome to you. If you're listening to us on any podcast throughout this great land of ours, good morning. And we've got a lot to talk about this morning, don't we? First of all, Lenny touched on this a little bit earlier. I want to talk about the Cardinals and their situation as we see it. First of all, I'm not sure when or if the Cardinals will play. And something that's, I think, curious to me is, a couple of weeks ago, the Marlins have basically a team-wide breakout, and they have to scramble. And they're picking up players off waivers, and they're back on the field in about a week, maybe? Well, maybe it's different. Okay, let me start by saying maybe it is different. But maybe it is not. And I say that because why can't the Cardinals do what the Marlins had to do? I mean, team-wide, Corona breakout, both teams. The Marlins put players on the IL who were major contributors. They picked people up basically off the scrap heap. Yeah, to play Major League Baseball this season. They're doing fairly well. Now, some of their players are still there. As I understand it, there was some conversation about Dylan Carlson, and the Cardinals starting outfield is still intact, not affected by Corona. So my question is, Major League Baseball, are the rules different for a team like the Cardinals with the great history that they have than they are for the Marlins, who frankly don't expect to win this year? So I see it that way. I see it that the Marlins were put in a situation where they had to put a team together. They put a team together. They're back on the field. The Cardinals aren't being forced to do that. I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair that, why couldn't the Marlins just not play? Why did they not play? Why are the Cardinals being allowed to not play? I think the situations are very similar. And now that they've started the fiasco, Major League Baseball, of not making the Cardinals go to their 30-man taxi squad, making the Cardinals pick up free agents like the Marlins had to do. Now you've got to play it out almost. So we know they're not playing through Thursday. What are the chances the Cardinals play at all this week? They're supposed to be playing a doubleheader with Detroit. Pittsburgh was the first 3 days. Then it was supposed to be Detroit, a doubleheader on Thursday. Those games are all off. So there's 5 more games. And as I understand the Cardinals' record, they're 2-3. They've played 5 games. Cincinnati's played 19. By the time we get to Friday, Cincinnati will have played in excess of 20. And the Cardinals will still be sitting on number 5. So, first of all, what's the point of a taxi squad if you're not going to make the Major League teams use it? So I think it's time that the Cardinals have to play by the Marlin rules. I think if it were the Yankees, Cardinals, Braves, doesn't matter. That's why we have a taxi squad. We knew we really didn't know, but we knew 2020 was going to be a unique season. It's certainly been that. We know that Corona is still out there infecting people, infecting ball players. And then I want to talk about Cleveland. So what's going on with Clevenger? I mean, Plesac found to be socializing inappropriately, whatever. Clevenger takes up for him. Clevenger flies home with the team on the same flight where the air is circulating and particles are moving around, right? And then when they land, it comes out, oh, by the way, Clevenger was with Plesac, and now he's being quarantined. And I'm not going to be surprised if other Indians aren't quarantined as well. What we hope there happens is that Plesac and Clevenger both test negative for the virus, are back pitching this weekend, and there's no big deal. But if either of them, particularly Clevenger, is found to test positive, then what does that do for the rest of the tribe? And then are we in a situation similar to St. Louis, similar to the Marlins? If we can finish a 60-game schedule, and this is what's so unique. Remember back in June, when they're arguing over how many games we're going to play, and nobody was happy with 60, except the owners. Well, we should be happy if we can get 60 games for all 30 teams, take it. I just don't see it happening. The way I'm looking at it, the Cardinals are going to have to play doubleheaders like every day. 14 innings every day. Interesting. The times are what they are in 2020. I want to talk about some players now. Now that we got a discussion about Corona out of the way, and I'm giving you a different view of Yankee land this morning. You were looking at another wall the other day. I'm going to move around in Yankee world so you can see different things. But I want to talk about some players who have been cold and now may not be, or maybe heating up. And I'm sure I'm going to miss some. So feel free to go into StreamYard, post comments, put players up there. We'll talk about them, okay? First one I want to talk about, Trey Turner for the Washington Nationals. That's right, Trey Turner, world champion, started off hitting under 200. His average is now up to 235. Over his last 13 at-bats, he's 5 for 13 with a home run. Turner now looks like he's turning it around. And that's good news for the Nationals. Lenny said this morning that the Washington Nationals scored over 30% of their runs for the season last night against the Mets. But if they can continue to hit and get hot, that's what they did last year. Now, I'm going to pause a minute because we know Scherzer had a little bit of a nag. Strasburg didn't start the season. He pitched 4 good innings on Sunday, I think it was. And then the 5th, he kind of imploded. But he's back. Doesn't look like he's going on the IL. Still talked about some kind of sensation. But I got to think that the gamer in these guys will come out. We know they can pitch. And if they start to hit now with Soto back in the lineup, Turner starting to hit, I don't know about you guys, but I'm thinking the Nationals are always on the back of my mind. Okay, time after time, back on my mind again. Another player who's starting to heat up a little bit. He's now 3 for his last 7 in the last 2 games. That's MVP candidate Christian Yelich. That's right. Yelich has on the season 4 home runs, 9 RBIs. Did you not think he would heat up? How about Shohei Ohtani? 4 for his last 7, including a home run last night. Last night against Oakland. If Ohtani can now start to hit, his average is now at the Mendoza line. And for those of you who may be watching who are not baseball fanatics, that's the 200 average. But he was way down. He was like 118. Now he's up to 200. The average continues to rise. And Shohei, with that lineup, hitting as only a DH means he can play every day. He's not going to be pitching. And there's some players on the IL, and it creates an interesting situation. And since we're in Yankee land this morning, let's talk about the Yankees. We know Stanton went on the IL this weekend. And the thing about his injury, and you can talk about, well, he's going to get hurt. Well, he's in the best shape he's been in years. Stuff happens. I think I read there were 3 times as many pitcher injuries so far in this many games as there have been last year. I don't think it's so much Stanton as it is 2020. but he's sliding into second. He gets up, pulls at his pants a little bit. And the next play, he runs to third. After that, the ball's put in play. He scores a run. So, first of all, he didn't come out of the game right away. And to me, it looks like a precautionary measure on behalf of the Yankees. But what do? They call up the one, the only, Clint Frazier. That's right. Clint Frazier called up. And I beg the question of you guys, if you're going to call up Clint Frazier, aren't you going to play him? Why would you call him up if you're not going to play him? If he's going to sit on the bench, you just leave him back on your taxi squad back in Scranton or Trenton. Let him keep playing there. But they've called him up. So I got to think in fantasy worlds, Clint Frazier is a player, and I think this is his chance. So he creates a real interesting problem or scenario for the Yankees. Let's say Frazier hits. Let's say Frazier hits 350 or 400 over the next 10 days. The Yankees are going to have a hard time sending Clint Frazier back down, particularly if the likes of Aaron Hicks are hitting 200. What I'm getting at is it can create some really good competition on the Yankees. Meanwhile, it gives Frazier the opportunity that many Yankee fans have been clamoring for. Give him some at-bats. Let's see what he can do. It also gives Aaron Judge a chance to DH. And I think the big winner here in all of this is Mike Tauchman. Mike Tauchman, I'm looking at ESPN leagues. His ownership is 9.7%. Of the last 4 games the Yankees played, he played in 3 of them. He makes good contact. He's hitting .310 on the year. He's got 4 stolen bases. That's right, 4. And that projects out to maybe 12 to 15 for the season, pending how much playing time he gets. And 12 to 15 bags in 2020 is huge. So I could see Tauchman playing more outfield if Judge is DHing. Tauchman probably playing some center field and left field also. Frazier getting at bats while Stanton is out. If you can pick them both up in your fantasy league, I'd say pick both Mike Tauchman and Clint Frazier up, and let's see how it goes. Okay, I want to talk some DFS. We've got a short show today, this morning, because tonight at 7 o'clock, it's Phil Chaplin. And at 9 o'clock, Chappie and I hit the airwaves together again. We had 1,000 views. That's right, 1,000 views on our show. So guys, you want to tune in tonight at 9. We'll talk hard-hitting, deep fantasy news. I've got notes. They're right here. This is for tonight. This is the backside so you can't see them. That's for tonight. We're going to talk players who may be called up, who have been called up, whether you should cut them, whether you should add them. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm going to talk about Mackenzie Gore. If you haven't got Mackenzie Gore in your fantasy leagues, then you'd be really wise to go do that. Mackenzie Gore, North Carolina native Mackenzie Gore, who has 4 put-away pitches. And on a Padre team, they're going to make the playoffs. And adding Gore to that rotation at the right time. Look, write it down. With Mackenzie Gore, it's not a matter this year of if. It's a matter of when. And I want to talk with Chappie a little bit more about Gore and some other prospects tonight at 9 o'clock. So stay tuned. Tune in. This network's got you covered. Lenny starts off every day. I'm back. I hope I'm back for good. And then tonight, I'm going to be wearing my King Hap t-shirt. I'm going to have this one off. I'm bringing out the King Hap shirt tonight. So, King, if you're out there and you're listening, know that I'm going to be looking